Okay, let's see. Yeah, so this is a weird one. We're essentially in a weird position where where we continue last week's bias, where we realized that this was our weekly inefficiency here, right? So that reacted, took structure, right? Began to move down, then broke structure again, right? Came a pullback, took out liquidity, mitigated whatever it was in this wick here. Let me make that clear. Right, so took out liquidity, broke structure, gave a pullback, took out equal highs here, and mitigated this wick there. Right, and that wick, right, that wick took out previous liquidity. Right, this wick took out previous liquidity or previous wicks here before causing a move down. We then come back up, and we never mitigated that open, signifying that this is still a very key point. All right, let's see this. All right, so that came back. Then the whole narrative with the hold on, my bad, I was getting a call. The whole narrative with the elections, and that took out liquidity and took out structure again. Right, so this high now led to a structure break, meaning this is our point of invalidation of the continuation bias, right? And the cool thing here is I think we still have room personally. I think we have a little bit of room left. Right, we came back into this potential daily SC, but the only issue with this daily SC is it follows the criteria, but it's very big. Right, so the thing is now is that even though this caused the push down, there's a possibility that this last wick here could be a potential SC, right? Not to mention we closed pretty bullishly, right? So I was actually a bit rushed in this. I actually took an L on EU this morning. I'll show you guys that in a bit. Overall, just my mistake. It's nothing too crazy, but once we go back into this wick, right, there's now a candle of interest. So I want to see what happens inside this, right? I think London might push us up and we might see some type of reaction for New York so that we can then get a closure, an inverted closure like this on a daily time frame, right? And the reason why I say that too is because there's been too many times where I try to sell off bullish candles like this or on a daily time frame, and you just don't see it, properly occur. I can't see any examples off the top of my head, right? But like for example here, right, there is a bearish closure, which is an indecision, but then there's one last wick before the move up. So that's what I want to see. I want to see a wick, right? I want to see a wick and a rejection so that we can then build the narrative to continue lower, right? Because now indirectly, right, if we have the continuation here, our next target of interest is that previous low, right? And there is still the possibility that if this breaks, right, that could potentially lead to a bullish break of structure, and it could have all along been this bullish break of structure within where we then came back into this premium here, right, which is the open here, last push down before the move up, right, push down, came back here. So it's 50-50, right? If we start coming down, right, if we start coming down now, then I'm probably not going to touch this. If you come back, mitigate, do something here, then I want to take this lower to at least the previous low, right? Or if we come back into point of interest and take it out, then you could start playing this narrative, right? But for the most part, I'm still pretty bearish on this. You don't really have a reason not to be, right? And especially if you really want to correlate some type of fundamentals to it, in my opinion, the indecisiveness of the election, right? For the people that know, the media has said that Biden has won, but legally, right, a president cannot be essentially elected, right, until all legal matters are concluded. So that could lead to some indecisive price action, right, which could hurt the dollar in the midterm, right? So I really want to see what happens there, right? EURUSD. Right, I was trying to play off of this bullish close, right, that could have potentially mitigated or mitigated this inefficiency here. Right, I was wanting to play the mitigation of the open, and unfortunately I just didn't get the follow through. So I personally, this is super irritating having to do this every single time. All right, something that I wanted to play personally was here. Oh my goodness. All right, I actually wanted to play this indecision candle here. All right, and this is a good lesson for you guys. All right, I wanted to play this wick here. Right, very valid POI. I was looking for around the 50% here. Right, didn't get it. Right, stopped out. And here's something we have to realize. The only reason why I should have taken this trade is if this move didn't liquidity grab. Right, the only way I would have wanted to see this, the only reason I should have taken this is if this didn't break structure or even took liquidity here. Because this high, or let's say this high was here, this high did not break this high, so my structural points are essentially from here or here to here, right? Now that I'm here and here, right, you should theoretically be playing around here. So me trying to play this is a bearish break of structure, right, which led here, and then we came back, filled something potentially in this candle, inefficiency, whatever, and then continued lower, right? So that was my mistake. From an intraday standpoint, it's just all structure there, and the real play, if you even wanted to play that, would have happened probably a bit right before overlap closes, right? Because if we're looking at structure lower, this is your high, this is your low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, liquidity grab, bullish break of structure. Right, this low created this high, so you could have played here, right, or even caught the mitigation here, right, because you aren't at break even until you fully break this point. So even if you're in from here, this shouldn't stop you out even with spread. So that would have been the more optimal play, right? It happens, it's whatever. But either way, that's only up, I believe, from 1750, 30 pips. Yeah, 30 pips. So personally, I still don't want to see this go. Structure is still bearish, right? Especially here. I would love to see this. Would love to see that. Right, this reaction was not sharp enough, in my opinion, for me to believe that this is a change of reversal there, unless this high is broken, right? Because this move created this lower low. So if that breaks, that's now an intraday break of structure. Cool. Okay, no comments. Feel 12-hour and if was bad. Yeah, POIs are nice, but it's all about the reaction. Oh, okay. Yeah, 12-hour inefficiency. I see that. The thing is here is H8 didn't fail. That's also a thing for me. And personally, I haven't been playing inefficiencies as much as I used to. I've really been enjoying catching moves that revolve around wicks that create moves, right? Because in theory, you want to catch those types of moves, right? But at the end of the day, it's whatever setup you see more often and are more comfortable with taking. Yeah, so that's EU. GU, haven't touched it. Haven't touched this in weeks. Even though I'm bullish on it, and I'm pretty sure it's still going to go up, it's just from an educational standpoint, a lot of this price action isn't really making sense, right? Because this, for example, you could say took structure or took liquidity, right? But then gave a bullish reaction. Even took out this liquidity point here, right? But from an intraday, this is a break of structure and came back to a premium to continue, right? I'm still convinced this is going to go up, especially because of this. This was the change in character for me, and we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. Yeah, I mean, I'm still full on with that. I have no reason to believe so. And now, unless this point breaks, then honestly, if this point breaks, but with a sharp reaction, I still wouldn't consider it to be a full-on break of structure. All that matters is the reaction, right? If it's a full follow-through, then that's probably considered break of structure, and you should probably look for the pullback continuation. But unless that happens, I don't really see this wanting to come down just yet. And if it is, and in case this does start to pull back, it's definitely because of this catalyst here. Right, this catalyst right here is that we finally took out a target that we've been referencing for what day is it today? The 11th. So it's like 2-3 months, right? We've been referencing these equal lows because we've been trying to support this pre-supply buying climax, secondary test, liquidity grab, up thrust, UTAD test, LPS. Right, that's what we've been trying to play. All right, and now that structure has been taken. Even if this starts pulling back, it does not theoretically make sense to see this continue higher. Right, the logic isn't supporting it. The structure now isn't supporting it. Right, just the overall feeling does not support it. So we could see a slight pullback. Maybe even back up here. And then this would be the catalyst that leads GU lower. Right, which could break this structure, liquidity grab, and then continue higher, right? But if we confidently break this next high, we should easily take out these highs, right? And then from there, could be here, right? So it's another target, relative equal highs there. So it's looking good. I mean, even though we aren't really trending, the targets are there. It's just the hard part is definitely getting inside, the actual execution. But other than that, I mean, EG played out exactly as we've wanted for the past months, 2 months, 3 months, right? And does anybody have any questions on this, right? Because yes, we've said this corrective structure, we've said that, right? But no level of structure ever broke, right? Here, this is that bearish break of structure. This is my point of invalidation, right? We make our full pullback after taking out relative equal highs, right? And then create a new low. This is now my point of invalidation, right? Here to here. This is the full on pullback, right? And I remember I told you guys I was extremely bearish even though we came up here because we came to mitigate the move, the intraday move here that took out previous liquidity, right? So essentially what it's doing. Right, so this essentially tested a previous SC potentially in here, but then this led to a break of structure, right? So now this is the point of invalidation, right? But because we acknowledge the fact that this move created, right, this lower low, if this point breaks, right, then we're probably fully on bullish, right? And I was even anticipating, right, that even though we were in sells, I was anticipating that we could take out these two highs here because they were relatively equal highs. So I prepared for it because after we had this break of structure here that we talked about last week, right, we were covered inside of this hedge position, right? Obviously that created a follow through, right? But then it led to an intraday break of structure, mitigated whatever was up here, mitigated that, and then created the final move. Right, so does all that make sense? Right, we've literally manifested this over the past 2 months, right? And there's a lot of you that have seen like literally this entire development, and even though majority of you didn't catch this trade, it's extremely, I feel like it's extremely comforting to see an entire bias play out on a swing basis. Right, does that make sense? Yeah, because this here is the opposite in theory of what we did with EU, right? With EU, when you go back to the zooms, you see that we've been full on bullish for months since we tapped here. Full on bullish, right? And to see that develop through the zooms, through time, through your experiences, then I feel like that's really good just for your overall psyche, right? And now we've seen it again with EG. And the thing is this is not stopping anytime soon, right? Unless this will not stop anytime soon unless this breaks, because this is the point that created the lower low. So this is my point of invalidation. All right, so just following structure, continuations, that's all it is. Right, so I mean, other than that, I don't really have much for tonight. Do you have any questions? Anybody? Anybody, any questions? Are we good? You see, I don't know if I should be worried about the fact that you guys rarely ever ask questions, or if I should be glad. Oh, and yeah. I was gonna update you guys on the content, right? So here's what you gotta understand with the content, right? The content, to write out my actual kind of like script for each video takes me about 20 to 30 minutes, right? And that's not even the hard part, right? Because with every video I have chart work, right, aligned. And the approach I'm taking with this time is I want to make sure I get examples of not only EU, EG, GU. I want to make sure I get examples of like EU, of like EJ, of GA. Just want to essentially seclude the different classes of asset, or not assets, but different currency classes, just so I can show you guys that this can be applied to anything, so that once you decide on your pairs, you have the confidence that whatever you do, these concepts will work, because they do, right? The concepts work based off principle, but in terms of concept, they don't always specifically work throughout every pair. Like for example, like the EU 90% retracement behavior that I always point out, that was specifically for EU, right? And then so if somebody that's trying to use it for like CJ or for like EJ, right, those 90 retracements are actually more common, and then that's what's going to be covered in the pair breakdown video. That's going to be in that content. So oh, this motherfucker. All right. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I really want to get it done by the end of the year. I just feel like it's going to automate everything so much better. Oh, and then also too with the new system, right? So with the new system, you're gonna have your name, your IP, and your email on your on your screen, and in the back end we get to see when you log in, where you log in from, if you use a VPN, and then obviously time zone and just all that stuff, right? So if anybody's even sharing logins now, trust me, that won't happen again. That won't happen. Even if you use a VPN, we can see if anybody uses a VPN, and we're going to ask you to stop using it. And if you continue to use it, then we're just going to kick you out. Easy. So that way I don't have to hold back with anything. We can move on professionally. We can move on. Hopefully no more leaks, because if this gets leaked, then I'm going to be fucking furious. And I will legitimately come for that person. How close am I? I'm still making the notes right now, bro. So yeah, I think that's it though. Do you guys have any questions with anything? No worries. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that EG ride, even though phase 1 just ended on EG. All right, cool. We may or may not have a call on Saturday, because unless you guys are cool with me doing it on my iPad, because I don't have my laptop, and I'm going to New York this weekend. Yeah, I'm going to New York this weekend. But yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on that. Worst case, I might not be able to do it when you come to London. Hopefully in the summer. I mean, you guys are in lockdown right now, aren't y'all? Yeah, so I mean, there would be no point in even going now. Chicago, I'm trying to go to Chicago. Who knows? Like, I'm not the type of guy that likes to travel, bro. Believe it or not, I fucking no. I don't like leaving. Maybe going to New York will persuade me to want to take more trips. Traveling is so dope, yeah, but I'm poor. You want a babe shit today? Lit. Let me just end the recording off here.